You know, we had some abrupt retirements this week. We'll stick with football right now. Gronk, 9 seasons, 3 Super Bowls. What a career.
Yeah.
0.69 touchdowns per game in his career.
That's how he'd want to go
That's
out.
how he went out, man.
That's how he'd want to go out.
How he came in.
Yep.
That's a soundbite. No, not surprising. Not surprising.
I'm not surprised either. I thought he was going to retire last year, so
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that he retired this year.
He'd been hitting for a few years. I do think that he has, if you do this and you're Gronk, you have your next career move plan. Because as much as he has that persona of charge a certain amount of money and he will show up at your birthday party and shotgun a beer with you, or he's dating a supermodel and they like go on a cruise and tell people come on this cruise with us, and he's just this party guy. He has never spent $1 of any game checks. He has never spent $1 of any NFL money. He saves it and he lives off of endorsement money, and that is a wicked smart dude. I think he's going to go to the WWE or something.
Is that intentional?
What?
He's a wicked smart dude.
He's wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart. And he's going to be in the WWE, or he's going to do something Hollywood-wise. He has a plan. And I say more power to him, because he created a brand for himself using football and is now going to take that outside of football, which we only really see with superstars, mainly in the NBA, but some NFL like Manning. Peyton
Well,
Manning.
I was going to say the NFL is harder because you don't see their face.
It is, yeah.
The NFL. The stars are kind of unrecognizable at times, except for the big time stars.
But guys like that also have big personalities, and like AB would not be on the cover of Madden if he wasn't who he was, and
if
Gronk
he had a
wouldn't.
Tetris haircut.
Gronk wouldn't be on the cover either if he wasn't as out there as he is. What was up with that mustache?
At the height
But by AB, by the way.
At the
What
height
was up
of
with
the
that?
Bears being
the
good,
blonde.
Matt Forte could have walked by me on the street. I would
never.
say
Nope.
that's a bump.
That's what I'm
dude.
saying. Yeah.
That is an in shape
Nope.
dude. I would have no idea who Matt Forte
Exactly.
was when he was putting up like 1,600 all-purpose yards. And it is the helmet to an aspect, because I can point out. I would bet money that I can on faces name 6 to 8 dudes on every NBA roster. Because I watch a lot of NBA, I play a lot of 2K.
Yep, that's why I say
you
I
can't
know.
even see their faces.
I know
in Madden,
almost
you know?
every single person because of 2K. I could probably name almost everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly.
I think it says a lot about Gronk, especially in his position, that over the years, because it's become more of a quarterback's league, you have seen tight ends break out and be bigger stars. But he, in my opinion, he is the most famous tight end probably, and I would argue that he's one of the greatest tight ends to ever play.
It's not the greatest.
He's top 3 for sure.
It's him
He's
and
got to be
Tony.
in that conversation.
I see Tony Gonzalez as probably the best.
Yeah,
Tony
I would
was held
agree
back
with
by
that.
the teams he was on. It's not his fault that he had like
Antonio
one playoff
Gates.
game.
It is the worst crime, because he's such a nice guy, and like from what I've seen, seems like a really great person. It is a crime that he does not have a ring.
Antonio Gates is another one who's up there. I mean, he has 100. They both have 100 touchdowns,
Gates
don't they?
is a top 5, and along with then you got to throw in Shannon Sharp
What about Jason Witten?
and yeah.
What about?
Jason
let's be
Witten?
honest, but he's in the same boat as they don't have Super Bowls, but they put up
He's
great
durable
numbers.
and he's got great numbers, but I would probably put like Kellen Winslow Sr. above Jason.
But he was
Witten.
more of a receiver than
Jason
a tight
Witten.
end.
He was like the first
Jason
receiver.
Jason
that is a
Witten.
tight end.
Jason Witten before last year had the all-time record for catches in a season.
Okay,
So I mean, that's being productive. That's what he was. That's what you want. Is that not what you want?
that is a culmination of circumstances of having a young quarterback who trusts a veteran tight end, and a lot of other things that come together. But I hear what you're saying, and Witten is a top 10, but I don't think I'd put him in the top 5 for me.
Here's another question: does Gronk do what Witten does, take a year off and then come back?
I could see
No.
that happening.
I don't see that because I don't see Gronk as the kind of guy who likes. I don't think he really loved the physical contact, the physical nature of football.
He got injured too much.
That's
Well,
I think that's why he wanted to retire last year, but they talked him into it. But I that's how I have always seen him, like on the field and like how he talks. He doesn't love the physical aspect of football, and so that's why I don't see him coming back
Right, and
like Witten did.
and you see the injuries that he took because
And
people were
he was
taking out his
injured-
knee.
Exactly.
That's the only way you can tackle him.
he's an incredible physical person. Like
when you're trying to tackle a skyscraper, you have to take it out at the knees.
He could stiff arm defensive backs before they were in arm's reach of him.
Exactly.
Every time. And so, yeah, he did. Like Shaq or LeBron got hit a lot more and harder than he should, probably.
Yeah.
But I would say, oh, man, he's not going to fail like Jason Witten did at his next career.
Yeah,
exactly. I can see him going to the WWE.
He has the personality. He's
going to be a guy like JJ Watt who will just show up in random sitcoms and do random guest spots.
Yes.
He'll just be a cameo of himself.
What Shaq has done, like
he'll be on Ellen this fall. He'll be on Ellen, and then 2 nights later, he's in the booth guest commentating at an Arizona game, and he's back home, and they're like, "What are you doing this weekend, Gronk?" And he's like, checking out the sororities.
If the league were still around, he would have already been like a cast member at this point. He would have gotten brought on for the next season.
Don't bring up the league to me, dude.
Why do you hate that show?
No,
it's a great show.
I love it so much. It's like a lost member of my family that they stopped
that it's over.
That show was my life.
You know what's funny?
Like I don't mean that I like love it that much, but I related to it so much.
Oh, it was so funny.
Like at the start of when I'm watching that show, I'm like, oh man, I'm Pete. Pete's cool. Pete's fun. I'm Pete. And then the more I got into it, the more I'm like, oh my god, I'm Kevin.
No, I was gonna say, oh my god, I'm Raffy.
No, I realized I was turning more and more into Kevin from Pete. It was disappointing, but that's a great show. Only 6 seasons, but they're 6 good ones.
I was told that I was Nick Kroll's character.
I love Ruxin.
Everybody
calls me Ruxin.
My friends called me Ruxin. That's who I was to them. This one isn't on the list. This got announced today. Jordy Nelson is retiring. How do you guys feel about that?
Sad.
I want him to take a 1-day contract as a Packer.
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
During a preseason game, he comes out with that 87, catches one more route.
Does he get inducted to the Packer Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor or whatever they call it?
I was surprised that he retired because I feel like he was still pretty damn good.
Well, was Gronk. So was
Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson is still the biggest
shock. Yeah.
What what could he have been?
Robbed by a franchise.
What could Calvin Johnson have been?
If he was on 20 of any other NFL teams, they could have recognized what to do with him and what he needed.
Could you imagine that? Being a franchise that is known for going 0-16 and retiring Calvin Johnson.
And Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders. Yeah.
You have 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers that retired at 30.
Two of the greatest athletes at their position in NFL history.
They were both 30, and they said, I don't love it anymore. That is
Detroit literally grinds people down.
Football. That is Detroit football. And so you really got to give it to Matt Stafford. He's out there making that money, and he lives 60 miles from Detroit. But he's sticking with the team. And as Packer fans, they're just so cute, the Lions. they might get you at Ford Field every other year, and you're just like, oh, you Lions.
I got to tell you, though, the NFC North probably has the most parity of any of the divisions, except for Detroit. It's always Minnesota, Chicago, or Green Bay. It's never Detroit that wins that division.
Detroit is in the playoff race until Thanksgiving. Detroit is in the playoff race because they are 5-5, and then they finish 6-10.
And then you guys, it's
That's why I never worry when they win on Thanksgiving.
Here's the thing: is you guys as Packers fans, it's like LeBronto for you guys. Whenever Aaron Rodgers plays Detroit, they don't have a chance. He always finds ways to beat them.
They broke his collarbone.
No, that's Minnesota.
He's broken his collarbone twice.
No, but Minnesota was the most recent one, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I was gonna say Minnesota's all. Yeah.
Anthony Barr, how great was it that he got jetitis? He signed
with the Jets.
He was going to sign with the Jets. Yep. The news came out he's going to the Jets, and then he's like, "Wait a minute, it's the Jets," and he backed out and he stayed in Minnesota. And then 2 days later, they get Le'Veon Bell, and he's like, "Oh."
And who else did they sign? They signed another really good linebacker, C.J. Mosley.
Oh,
C.J. Mosley's in New York.
Pickup.
Yeah,
I like C.J. Mosley.
I do too.
I'm sorry. To go again, we've been going off on tangents all night. We haven't been together in a while. It's been like a month.
A lot of catching up.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm gonna be completely honest with you because we didn't have a chance to talk about this with OBJ going to Cleveland. I am still someone who is not ready to give Cleveland the AFC crown yet because
Who are you going to give it to
No
instead?
way. No.
Because
the
Cleveland-
Patriots.
no.
The AFC North. We're not talking about the
just
whole
the
AFC.
North?
No, not the AFC.
Cleveland's
I said the
not
AFC
winning.
North.
Cleveland's not going to the Super Bowl. I
No.
Well, Ravens. They finally get the running back
And they-
that Harbaugh would want in his offense.
Yeah, but then they lost their two. They lost their. They did.
They got
add
Earl
Thomas.
Campbell or Earl Thomas.
Thomas,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
But
why
they
you
lost-
drop Weddles because you can get Earl
Yeah,
Thomas.
but so you're spending a lot of money on a guy, but now you lost your linebacker because you gave Earl Thomas that money.
You're betting on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, who? Let's be honest. He's not going to win you a playoff game if he does make the playoffs.
He's a small guy.
But to compare,
and he is a small guy. He's like RG3. We'll see his
yeah.
second year. RG3 dominated his first year just like Lamar Jackson did. We'll see.
but here's the thing, and it's the same reason why I can't even with all the smart moves the Jets have made. It's the same reason why I can't give them the crown because you can't trust them. A and B. Pittsburgh is still in that division. Baltimore's still in that division, and on the Jets side, New England's still in there in that division.
The Jets aren't there. They're
they still
not
don't
there
have
yet.
a chance.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sam
They're not there
Darnold and Le'Veon Bell are not going to beat Tom
Sam
Brady.
Darnold's not ready to. Sam Darnold's not ready for that. I don't think, and they don't have the receivers.
You know what? I guarantee you something. I guarantee you Le'Veon Bell. Well, let's not go that far. I was going to say I guarantee he doesn't reach 1,000 yards. I think that year off is going to mess with him. I think it really is. I think it's going to affect
he will
him.
be fresh. Adrian
think he will
Peterson
be-
was 8 yards short of the rushing record after tearing his ACL.
I think
But did he play for the Jets?
he played for the Vikings, who didn't have a quarterback either. So
Yeah, I'm not going
Adrian
to
Peterson
I'm not going to take your word for it. You're a Packers fan.
I'm saying Adrian Peterson
We
dominated.
love Kirk Cousins. He's just
No, he did.
siphoning all the money out of the
Adrian
Vikings
Peterson was
organization.
incredible after that ACL
I'm
injury.
Absolutely.
I'm still upset that he didn't get that record.
It's okay. I'm okay with it.
Well, then I found out what he did to his kid, and I'm like, yeah, maybe not.
One more big retirement.
He's still balling out.
Yeah, he will this year too. You know, he will. One more retirement, Conor McGregor. But we've heard this before. This was like deja vu.
How about that?
He didn't say
Admit-
thanks for the cheese this time.
And then the next day, that story comes out about this
Sexual assault.
in the New York Times.
Yeah, like
That to me is telling. I think he did not retire. He was forced out by the
like
UFC.
Michael Jordan to baseball.
Yeah, because the UFC was like, because I feel like, yes, they got a hold of that information before the press did and was like, okay, you can leave because he's done so much for MMA and the UFC, but he's also the worst person to do business with because of that stupid attack on that bus
he's done
last
so
year.
much. He has that. He has the arrest for throwing a fan's phone on the ground.
That was just like last month in Miami.
Yeah.
All that
That was
stuff.
recently.
All that stuff with Mayweather, which was promotion and it got them a lot of money, but it's just like he was the worst person I bet to work with. I'm sure Dana White hated making negotiations with him and contract things and like that. And honestly, good riddance. I'm not gonna miss Conor McGregor.
Well,
I'm not.
It's very interesting because the laws in Ireland are that you cannot release the name of someone being investigated. You cannot release the name of someone that is being charged with a crime. You can only release the name of someone convicted of a crime, which gets rid of you hearing somebody's name on the news and or they're looking for this guy in connection with that, and it gets rid of some of that. But does this mean that they are very, very sure of whatever he's accused of? Because this is like from December and it's coming out now, but he has not been convicted of anything, and it's going against law, leaking out.
I think we're at this point in our society where we are taking, which is a good thing, that we are taking these sorts of allegations seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much the UFC knows. I keep wanting to say UCF. It trips me up every time. We don't know how much the UFC knows, but I think even a whiff of something like that would be enough for them to be like, all right, you've caused enough trouble for us. You have to go. And I think with his ego, there had to be an agreement where he's like, no, F you, I'm going to say that I'm retired. I'm going out on my terms, kind of thing.
Dana White can say you are not going to be scheduled, and then this is your opportunity to quote unquote retire.
And Dana White's not in control of the UFC anymore. He works for someone else.
But he is basically the GM,
right?
The president of operations, to the point where he decides cards. It comes down to him, I would think.
And I'm saying the bigwigs that actually are the millionaires that are actually running the UFC are going to be like telling Dana, you have to get rid of him.
What a businessman! He bought it for $4 million, sold it for like $4 billion.
Yeah, it was definitely a B.
Yeah, he bought it for $4 million. I know that.
Which, hey, I mean,
flipped it in like 15 years. That's a flip or flop.
It's the biggest combat sport in the world.
Well, there was an opening for it. There was a void. People were tired of the infighting and different boxing things.
And they were like, we don't want professional wrestling, the crazy antics of that. We want people to just beat each other up.
Well, let's take a vote. Does Conor McGregor wrestle on a UFC card again? Not saying he can box Floyd Mayweather.
If he gets cleared
he
from...
could be in Bellator. Will he be on a UFC card?
Like MMA.
Like the entity of...
In the octagon.
Yeah.
Well, Bellator is that, but it's a second tier. So would he be in UFC, Dana White, Vegas, or wherever?
Okay, specifically for UFC.
Correct.
If he's cleared of the sexual assault stuff, I think never, especially in combat sports and these kind of level of sports, never say never. So
Yeah.
I say yeah, it could happen.
He's already come back once.
Guys
Jason
come
Witten
back.
just came back. Yeah.
It happens.
I hate to compare it to WWE, but this stuff happens with WWE.
He's back.
And Vince McMahon is a bigger egomaniac than Dana White. So I would not be surprised if after WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey signed a contract with UFC again. I would not be surprised if that stuff kind of happens. These guys come and go all the time.
She's not good.
She is.
She leaves a lot to be left on the
Do
mic.
not get me started on what's happening with WrestleMania.
That's a different podcast.